You are the only creature on Earth that cries. Not dogs, not chimps, not elephants, not whales, not one single other animal in the entire history of life. Plenty of them make sounds of distress. Plenty of them feel something close to grief. But when a human being is overwhelmed by loss, by joy, by a song that comes on in the car, salt water leaks out of their eyes. And no other living thing does that. Think about the last time it happened to you. Not from pain, from feeling. Maybe at a funeral, maybe at a wedding, maybe alone at 2 in the morning. Now ask yourself something you've probably never once asked. Why did that happen at all? Because on paper, it makes no sense. Crying blurs your vision at the exact moment you might need to see. It clogs your breathing. It broadcasts to everyone around you that you are vulnerable, that your guard is down, that you could be taken advantage of. By every rule of survival, evolution should have quietly deleted it a long time ago. Instead, it did the opposite. It made sure that every human who would ever live would do this, which means those tears aren't a flaw. They're doing something for you that nothing else can. And the reason is far stranger than you'd expect. Most people assume crying is just what happens when emotion overflows. A leak, a pressure valve, something breaks inside and the eyes spill over. And that's the whole story. But that's not quite right, because your tears aren't all the same. In fact, they aren't even made of the same thing. Scientists split them into 3 kinds. The first are basal tears, the thin film that sits on your eye all day, keeping it from drying out. You're making them right now and you'll never notice. The second are reflex tears, the ones that come when you chop an onion or dust flies into your eye. Their only job is to flush out an irritant. And then there's the third kind, the tears that come from feeling. And those are different. In the 1980s, a biochemist named William Frey did something almost nobody had thought to do. He collected human tears, onion tears in one vial, emotional tears in another, and he analyzed what was actually in them. What he found was that emotional tears weren't just salt water. They carried a higher concentration of certain proteins and stress hormones, chemicals your body produces when it's under strain. There was even a trace of something the body makes as a natural painkiller, a compound that dulls physical hurt, appearing in the fluid running down a grieving person's face, as if the tears themselves were carrying a little relief out of the body along with everything else, which led to a strange and beautiful idea, that when you cry from feeling, you might be doing something almost physical, flushing something out, wringing the stress chemicals from your body the way you'd wring water from a cloth. For a long time, that was the favorite explanation. Crying is detox. Crying is release. It feels true, doesn't it? You cry, and afterward, somehow, you feel lighter. But here's the problem. When researchers actually tested it when they measured people before and after a good cry, the results were a mess. Some people felt better. Many felt exactly the same, or worse. If crying were really just a chemical release valve, it should work reliably, on everyone, every time. It doesn't. So the detox story, as satisfying as it sounds, can't be the real answer. Which sends us back to the strangest fact of all, that we are the only species that does this. And that fact is the clue. Because tears, it turns out, were never really about you. They were about everyone around you. Think about what a tear actually does out in the world. It runs down your face where other people can see it. It's visible from across a room. It changes your expression in a way that another human can read instantly, from a distance, without a single word being spoken. A tear is not a private event. A tear is a signal. And notice where it appears. Not your hands, not your chest, your face. The one part of you that other people watch more than any other. The surface we've spent millions of years learning to read for the tiniest flickers of feeling. Tears break out on the single, most visible, most closely watched patch of the human body. If you were going to design a signal to be seen and understood by the people around you, you could not pick a better place to put it. Evolution didn't put the tears there by accident. A Dutch psychologist named Ad Vingerhoets, who has spent his entire career studying why humans weep, argues that this is the whole point. Crying is one of the most powerful social signals our species ever evolved. It's a message written on your face that says, without you choosing a single word, I am overwhelmed. I need you. Come closer. And here's the part that makes it brilliant. You almost can't fake it. Real emotional tears are extraordinarily hard to produce on command, which means that when someone sees you cry, some ancient part of their brain reads it as true, honest, a signal that hasn't been performed or manufactured. You've dropped your guard completely in front of them, and your body has proven it. An evolutionary biologist named Orrin Hassan took this idea one step further, and it's a strange one. He argued that tears work precisely because they cost you something. When you cry, you literally blur your own vision. For a few seconds, you can't fight well and you can't run well. You are, in that moment, more defenseless than usual, and everyone watching can see it. In the animal world, that should be suicidal. But Hassan's point was that this is exactly what makes the signal honest. By lowering your own defenses in front of someone, you're proving you don't intend to attack them. You're proving you trust them. A tear is a white flag your body raises without asking you first, a way of saying, I am not a threat, and I am putting myself in your hands. And nothing builds a bond between two people faster than that. That's exactly why it disarms people. It is almost impossible to stay angry at someone the moment they begin to cry. The tears flip a switch. Aggression drains away and something older takes its place, the pull to comfort, to protect, to move toward the person instead of against them. Researchers have shown this directly. Take a photograph of a crying face, digitally erase the tears, and show both versions to people. With the tears left in, viewers rate the person as sadder, but also as warmer, more sincere, and far more in need of their help. The exact same face, minus a few drops of water, stops pulling at us in the same way. Those few drops are doing an enormous amount of quiet work. And this is where crying stops being a weakness and becomes something much cleverer. Yes, tears announce that you're vulnerable, but announcing your vulnerability to the people around you is precisely how you get them to take care of you. The very thing that looks like a flaw showing weakness at the worst moment is the mechanism. It's a bid for connection, built directly into your face, running whether you want it to or not. And it explains something that otherwise makes no sense at all. It explains why we cry when nothing is wrong. Think about it. People cry at weddings, at reunions in airport terminals, at the end of a film, or standing in front of something impossibly beautiful, or watching a stranger do something unexpectedly kind. Nothing bad is happening in any of these moments. Nothing needs to be flushed out. So why on earth do the tears come? Because the signal was never really about sadness. It was about being overwhelmed, flooded by something too large to hold inside one body. And whether that flood is grief, or love, or sheer awe, the response your body reaches for is the same. The feeling spills over the edge, and it reaches for someone to share it with. It turns out joy can be just as impossible to carry alone as pain. And notice what happens when a lot of people feel that flood at once. At a funeral, an entire room breaks together, and the shared tears somehow bind the mourners into something stronger than they were alone. At a concert, or a farewell, or a moment of national grief, thousands of strangers weep at the same time and feel, briefly, like one thing. Tears don't just pull one person toward another. They can fuse a whole crowd. For a species that lives or dies by the strength of its groups, that is not a small trick. It might be one of the most powerful bonding tools we ever evolved. Now look at where this starts. Look at the very beginning of a human life. A baby is born, and before it can focus its eyes, before it understands a single word, before it can do almost anything at all, it already knows how to do one thing perfectly. It can cry. And that cry is not random noise. It reaches across a room and reaches into the brain of a parent and pulls them toward the child before they've even decided to move. That is the oldest conversation on Earth. A helpless creature says, I need you, and another human answers. And every time you've cried since, as a teenager, as an adult, alone, or in someone's arms, you were speaking that same ancient language. The one you knew before you knew anything else. We are a species that survived by needing each other. We were slow and soft and weak, and the only thing that ever kept us alive was the group. Tears are what happen when one of us reaches for the rest. They are the visible proof that we were never meant to carry the heavy things alone. And here's where it turns quietly sad. Because that whole system, the tears, the signal, the hands that were supposed to reach back, was built for a world where other people were always right there, around the fire, in the same room, close enough to see your face the moment it broke. But look at how we cry now. We cry in bathrooms with the door locked so no one hears. We cry in cars in parking lots. We cry into a phone screen at midnight with no one on the other side. We have become extraordinarily good at doing the one thing tears were designed to prevent crying completely alone. The signal still fires. Your body still sends the message it has sent for hundreds of thousands of years. I am overwhelmed, Come closer. It's just that, more and more often now, there's no one there to receive it. The oldest cry for connection our species ever developed, going out into an empty room. So the next time it happens to you, the next time your throat tightens and your eyes blur over something that words can't quite hold, try to remember what it actually is. It isn't weakness. It isn't a malfunction. It isn't something to hide behind a locked door. It's the most human thing you will ever do. A signal older than language, older than any word for sadness, reaching out of you toward the people you were always meant to reach. We are the only creatures who cry. And maybe that's because we're the only ones who ever needed each other quite this much. The tears were never the weakness. They were the reaching.